Greetings, family. This is Iyapo Moyende Yangina, also known as Cassandra Floyd, and known to some as the Rogue Black Girl. I am doing this live, and I'm going to be as deliberate as I can and as um, focused and meditative as I can because there's a lot that I want to discuss today. And my calm and my reserve is going to be required in order for me to, in order for people to hear me. Okay. Um, Something happened this weekend that my knee-jerk response, there's a few things, first of all, that I want to address in this, so y'all are going to have to walk with me. I may even have to do several short lives so that these messages don't get crossed. But, today is Oya's day. And for those of you who do not know what that means the goddess Oya in Nyansa, she who eats trees from the top. You understand? The goddess of radical transformation, revolution, and destruction. Today is her day. Today is February 20th, 2022. And today is the day that I have been talking to you guys about for several months now. Now, the reason that I thought this was important is because yesterday was the last day of a 7-week workshop that I'd been teaching on the importance of people in general and people of color in particular paying attention to what is being called America's first Pluto returns. This is a subject that I have been passionate about for some time now, for a few years now. And I, around the beginning of the new year, actually before that, around November, I was like, okay, I got to pull my notes together and start doing this workshop. And this workshop has been well attended. I've interviewed several people during the workshops. But I want to get to this. I want to start with this first, and I want to be done with it. I was made aware last week of a few days ago, maybe 5 or 6 days ago, of a video that was made by one Umar Johnson about America's first Pluto returns. I was like, okay, cool. Let me check it out. I went in not knowing what his angle was going to be, but I was like, all right, cool. Because I have not heard many, if any, Black people, Africans, talking about America's first Pluto returns. I was like, all right, cool. Somebody's got hip to the game. You understand? And so I watched this video, it was a 1 hour and 30-minute live that he did 5 days ago. And I watched this live, though it was hard to watch. I was annoyed and offended throughout the entire thing for many reasons. Now, I should give you all a background. So I live in California now. I've been living here almost 4 years. Next month will be 4 years. But since the year 2000, I had been participating in a veteran revolutionary cadre style organization called the African People's Socialist Party. I entered into the party as a member of their mass organization, which is called the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. I entered that organization and I worked full-time for that organization from the year 2000 to the year 2009, when I parted ways with that organization. It is important for me to preface for a couple of reasons. One, I, having been a devotee of Ifa for several years now, let's see, it's year 2022, so about since 2008, I have been a devotee of Ifa. And And though my parting with the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement was not, did not happen in the best way, was not an easy part, I always, to this day, mentioned the name of Omalia Shatilla as one of the many mentors that I have had in my life that contributes to the person that people have come to know and respect and love within the different areas of work that I do. I do that even though I may have differing political views with the party now than I did when I was a member of that organization for many years. Anybody that knows me as an organizer knows that I have had a relationship with the African People's Socialist Party. I would never deny that. I would never take credit as if it was some epiphany that just happened in my life that created the organizer that I am. I give props where props are due. I will always see Omalia Shatilla as one of my foundational mentors in my growing process, in my aging process. I was 26 years old when I joined the party. I was a baby, and it transformed me as a human being. Now, the reason I mention that is, one, giving props where props are due, and two, recognizing that I am not some frivolous young person out here in the world calling myself, quote, doing activist work. I was trained as a revolutionary. I was trained in a almost now 50-year-old revolutionary organization. I was trained by veterans in the organization that today are kicking the doors in on 80 years old. And I don't talk about that often, but it's important to know, because what has happened when I watched this video, and I'm looking in two different directions because I'm doing a live from both places. But when I saw this video, so let me just say, inside that organization, and even after I left that organization, once I got married to a member of that organization, me and that member, my ex-husband, leaving that organization, creating our own organization, the Black Star Action Network, which is BSAI now. Me and my ex-husband splitting ways, and him moving to West Africa and me staying here to continue to do, I was in Tampa at the time, to continue to do the work that I was compelled and called to do. And within the context of doing that work outside of the party and outside of making a commitment to any other Black political organization, but still feeling compelled to do that work, I hired myself out, if you will, as an independent contractor, if you will, though most of the time I was doing the work for free, you understand? Or just enough to cover whatever expenses I spent out. And when I say that because I've had a bad habit of giving Black men the benefit of the doubt if they are tied to political organization, the benefit of the doubt that I have given recklessly to men that call themselves conscious, to men that claim to love African people, the benefit of the doubt that I have extended over and over and over again has always come at my expense. Every time, without fail, without fail. Whether it's my ex-husband, and I am not angry with him. My period of rage and resentment, all that shit is gone. But it is to acknowledge that there is a tendency that is not peculiar to me. Black women have been expected, especially in general in our lives, but especially inside political organizations, conscious organizations, churches, spiritual circles, whatever. Once we come together to supposedly solve and address the problems peculiar to Black people in America, or anywhere for that matter, I would venture that it's the same problem everywhere. That Black women are expected, one, to do all of the brunt work of building organization. Black men assume the responsibility for becoming educated enough to be the voice and the figurehead of said organization. But what, even in my relationship with my ex-husband, you're talking about two revolutionaries who got married inside the same organization with the same political understanding. My background in the party was much, much longer than his. Yet when I married him, I became a Jamu's wife. Not that I had 8 years of political organizing on him, not that I had many successes as an organizer inside of our organization. He had been in the organization 2 years. I'd been in the organization 8 years. But when he and I married, I became his wife. I became reduced in my significance as a revolutionary to being his wife. And I conceded. I didn't fight that. I said, we're going to big you up. We're going to put you forward as the chairperson for the organization that we are building together. Though every single aspect, the entire foundation of that organization I built while his ass was in prison. But that's okay. Come out of prison. We're going to big you up. We're going to put you forward. You're charismatic. Everybody likes you when they meet you. We'll put you forward as the chair of the Black Star Action Network. I said, okay, fine. When we would have arguments inside of our inside the confounds of our marriage, I'm still treating this man as if he is not only my lover and my husband and co-parenting our children together, he is still my comrade, because that's how we met. That's how we came into a relationship together, as comrades. So I'm thinking they're going to be this dynamic power couple who now know how to address and solve problems in romantic relationships as comrades first, with a political understanding that bound us together in the first place first. That did not happen. It was wildly subjective. I found myself having to lower my voice as to not offend his sensibilities. I felt myself becoming smaller in our relationship, despite the fact that the entire burden of our family rested squarely on my shoulders, even as we were building a political organization together. That all props in all circles were automatically given to him, though I was the one running around like a chicken with my head cut off, doing setup, doing breakdown, doing outreach for the organization we were building together. This is a preface that I have to make on this particular day, that Oya is challenging us to have the courage to dig up the trenches of shit that hold us back. Inside political organization, inside spiritual circles, inside so-called conscious communities of every single colonial race, is this dank, foul, disgusting, malignant tendency to steal power from African women, to steal power from other women in other communities, and dress it up as some kind of part of culture. Either we are going to evolve or we are not. And this is the question that we have to ask ourselves. This is the line that is begging to be drawn. Are we willing to evolve or are we not? Once I left Tampa and decided that I could do no more in Tampa, I was done with Florida, I met this African who I loved. I loved this African. To talk about him now, and I haven't seen his face in 5 years, still breaks my heart. I didn't love him as a lover. We were comrades. We had organized 2 events together. I love this African, DJ, Dwayne Johnson. I loved him. We talked on the phone damn near every day, cracking jokes, funniest dude you ever met, wildly charismatic. He asked me first, I didn't know him. He called my phone, a stranger to me, and asked me, I hear you're the one I need to talk to about moving my event from Miami to Tampa. This was the third Warriors conference. I didn't know him. I was like, who told you to call me? He was like, yo, Tahir and Rough Mike from Baltimore. Say, call her. She the one to know how to make something happen in Tampa. This African called me 4 weeks before his event was supposed to be in Miami. It was like, can you move my event from Miami? The local organizer fell off. Can you move my event from Miami to Tampa? Initially, I said, hell no. I can't do that. You talking about 4 weeks to build an event? Move an event from Miami to Tampa? No, bro, I can't do that. I can't do that. He was like, yeah, bro, the event is already built. People just got to change the airline tickets, whatever. I took it on because I'm reckless like that. You understand? So I said, okay. I built a committee. I put out a call. I hope y'all can stay walking with me because there is a trajectory that I am on. I put out the call locally to all these organizers that I've been working with for years, building the Florida Black Empowerment Collective. I built the Florida Black Empowerment Collective. I built the Black Market Black Friday. I was the one that organized in Tampa when nobody else was. Nobody had done a Marcus Garvey annual celebration. Anyway, so I said, okay, cool, I'll take it on. I put out the call to all the local organizers. I was like, look, this is a momentous event. This event could really grow every last one of our organizations. Who all wants to get on board as a coalition to build this Warriors Conference in Tampa? I think I ended up getting maybe 10 to 13 volunteers of organizers. I had been working with the Tampa branch of the Nation of Islam. I had been working with on the ground organizations that had been doing work in Tampa for years. You understand? I was working with, making calls with people who had just come to attend events that I'd put on, but were always down to help impromptu. I got 13 people maybe that jumped on board for 4 weeks. We got 4 weeks to build this thing, which is crazy. I never accept an offer to do an event in less than 3 months. That's just how I am, right? So I was like, we got 4 weeks to make it happen. But the lineup was crazy. It was crazy. It was more for some fan shit that I took on doing it on. It was United Front. I never met them, but I loved their music for years. It was Sarah Student Seti. I fucked with Seti at the time. Like I thought he was the one that kind of kicked off this whole YouTube movement type of thing. Cool, Sarah Student Seti. Mwalamu and Yabarudi. Who else? Marimba Ani, who wrote the book Yurugu. Like it was giants. Rough Mike and Precise Science. I had never met them brothers. There were so many people on the ticket. I was like, yes, we're going to do this shit. And Tampa is going to be able to grow its movements from participating in this event. Of the people that stood up and said, I want to volunteer to help make this event happen, all but one of them were women. All these brothers in Tampa, all these hyper militant brothers in Tampa, all but one was women. Kenyatta, I will shout you out because you are the man. You have always been steadfast. Everything that I've ever organized, that brother was front and center to help. And not only help, bring anybody else from his family that he could bring to make some shit pop. Kenyatta Hayward in Tampa, Florida. Shout out. All but one. I did not have a car at the time that I was organizing this event. I was getting my ass on the bus with boxes of flyers, going to schools, universities, high schools, going door to door, old school, old style, on the ground organizing to make this event happen. It was standing room only for 2 days. For 2 days. And when it came down to it, the brother didn't want to pay me. Not only did the brother didn't want to pay me, Irritated Genie was one of the people that came, cutting the whole ass the entire time he was there. I'm calling names because we don't do that. We don't do that. You use the excuse that we don't want to, quote, make black folks look bad while black men laid up in conscious circles continue to make black people look bad, exploit black people, mistreat black people, misuse black people. And we have every excuse under the book not to say their goddamn names in public. We hosted these women, built that entire event from the ground up in 4 weeks. We hosted, and when I host people in town, unlike many other organizers I've seen, you ain't on your own when you come into my city. When you come into my city, you are cared for. When you come into my city, I make sure that after my event is done, that there are things, activities lined up for you to do to entertain you until you get your behind on the plane and go back home. Not only that, I am calling each and every one of you to make sure that your location is secure, to make sure you are all right. Are you okay? Is everything okay where you are staying? That's how I organized, because that's how I was trained. You understand? It was so messed up because DJ didn't want to pay. Irritated Genie came to my goddamn city, my city, in relationships that I had built with the business owner that let us use their space for damn near next to nothing, and want to try to disrespect me. And I had to call his ass out in the parking lot while all these brothers who I respected stood around and didn't intervene, didn't take a side, didn't intervene at all, remained silent. I was trained in a cadre style organization. Everybody takes a fucking position. You don't stay silent when there's a goddamn struggle on the table. Everybody takes a position. But every last one of them brothers that stayed silent when that shit happened in the parking lot gonna call my phone or inbox me all after the fact and say, damn, that show was fucked up. You know what the brother said about you at the event. At my event, in my city, where I didn't get paid. And me and my homegirl Renee came out of pocket we didn't get paid back. We came out of pocket to secure those damn things that happened in Tampa. For this motherfucker to come into my city and tell all the black men in the event, don't fuck with her, she gay. Because I was like, I'm single, you understand what I'm saying? I'm cute, you understand what I'm saying? I get dressed up, I throw on my duds all weekend. I'm like, I might meet a boo, I might meet a revolutionary boo this weekend. And I didn't get approached once, baby, and I got play. Yes, I'm a big girl, but I don't have a problem in my relationships with men. And I didn't get hit on in 48 hours. I was like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck is going on? And then one of the brothers called me out after the fact and was like, yo, Iapo, you know, you was looking so fly and shit. We was confused. I was like, confused about what? He was like, well, Irritated Genie told us that you was a dyke. That's a quote, by the way. He told us a dyke. So everybody was like, all right, she cool, she with Black Power, but she off limits because she don't fuck with men. This is what happens at a political event, you see, with so-called still goddamn revolutionaries interested in transforming the existence of Black people, to have to hear a grown man tell me on the phone that his mentor was going around telling everybody before we paid for his housing, put his ass up, fed his ass, gave him a platform, that the lead organizer of the entire event was a dyke and was off limits. Don't none of y'all fuck with her. That happened. Never said a word about it. I was like, you know what? Y'all work it out. Just know that I don't fuck with him. And I don't have no problem saying out loud, I do not fuck with him. As a matter of fact, I have never fucked with him. And the only reason I said yes to that event was because everybody else on the ticket, I was like, yes, I fuck with them, and them. Cool. I don't like this dude, but cool. He do political work. No harm, no foul. I don't have to like you to respect the work that you do if you work for African people. Now, that being said, if you act like the fucking police, then we have another conversation that we have to have. Fast forward to 2016, because that was in 2015. Fast forward to 2016. This same brother, DJ, though he did not pay me, calls me and says, "Yep, Iapo, I have an amazing idea for this event. It's the perfect time for it. Obama was running for re-election. All this shit was happening with these award shows. That was the year that all these black actors and stuff were boycotting the Oscars with the hashtag Oscars so white. Like all of this stuff was happening. This was the year, I think it was the Grammys. It was the first time since these categories were put into the Grammys that were specifically put there for black people. All of the best new R&B artist, best new rap artist, best new rap song. It was like the whole thing was taken by white people. So everybody was already up in arms protesting these award ceremonies that were completely whitewashed this particular year that Donald Trump announced his ass was running for president. He's like, it's a perfect time. We need to do an award show for ourselves, and we need to do this award show different. We have to make it about black excellence. He's like, are you down to do something like that? I said, yeah, brother, I'm down to do something like that, but I got to get paid. You understand what I'm saying? Like that bullshit that happened in Tampa can't happen no more. I need to get paid. It is an epic idea. I am on board. I automatically saw the potential that it could produce long term to galvanize the enthusiasm of African people to solve their own goddamn problems. I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm with it. What you need me to do? He was like, well, first of all, we got to figure out what we going to call it. And then we got to put out a call to people who want to participate on the committee. I was like, what you mean what we going to call it? We're going to call it the Black Power Awards. So I want to say, this is another thing. Do not hear anybody else out there talking about they came up with the name for the award show. The first annual Black Power Awards was named by me, was organized by me. I was the lead full-time 8 goddamn months organizer of the first annual 2016 Black Power Awards. Though my presence and my participation in that award show was all but eradicated from the website and from all of that shit. But there's still shit that exists. All the radio shows that we did, whatever. So I meet some Negro here talking about, yeah, because he didn't know who the fuck I was. Gonna tell me, well, yeah, I was the one that came up with, I was in the preliminary organizing committee of the Black Power Awards. I was the one that came up with the name, the Black Power Awards. I said, really? Oh, wow. Is that so? He didn't know who the hell he was talking about, who he was talking to. I met him right here in LA. I said, brother, I said, my name is Iapo. I said, I was the lead organizer for the Black Power Awards. I said, the very first conversation the DJ had about the Black Power Awards was with me. Oh, well, I'm talking about, after it was finally announced that it was going to happen. He was never on the committee. And let me tell you about that committee. The Black Power Awards committee was 22 people from all over the country. When we put out the call, there was initially about 40-something people that had expressed interest in participating in that committee. When it came down, because we just had a weeding out process. We were like, okay, we're going to do the first month. We're going to do, trying to fill people out. What kind of skills do they bring to the table? What areas are they comfortable working in? Can they sit in a 2-hour meeting every single Sunday and work under the leadership of a woman they've never met? That was the weeding out process, because you motherfuckers got a problem. Even now, even as progressive as you say you are, working under the leadership of a Black woman. I heard it in the meeting. Well, who is she? Who she is? She don't even live in Atlanta. Why she the one get to lead the Black Power Awards? But my resume spoke for itself. That brother called me for a reason. Out of all the organizers in Atlanta, out of all the people doing work all the time, dope, awesome, amazing organizers doing work in Atlanta, this brother called me in Tampa to say, will you organize the Black Power Awards for 2016? And so the first month or so was me having to gently do battle with African people to establish why it is that my Black, dread-headed, tattoo face, vagina having ass was the one that got to lead and organize the Black Power Awards. Where if I had only had a penis, it would have been a non-issue. It would have been a go right out the gate. I'm not joking. We spent a month. We spent a month pulling that committee together over some bullshit. When it was said and done, of the 45 people who committed to participate in that committee, we had 22 members on that committee, 3 of whom were men. 3 of whom were men. This is the tendency. I have organized all over this goddamn country. I have organized in cities I didn't live in at the time. And it is always something that I go into space knowing I'm going to have to deal with. It don't matter that I'm older than every motherfucker on the phone. It don't matter that I've been doing this work in some way or another. Because, yeah, I joined the cadre organization in 2000, but motherfucker, I've been doing political work since 93, since I was in high school. So it don't matter that my entire life has been defined by political work or activism in some way. That didn't matter. It didn't matter that socially I was older than everybody in the goddamn room. Children, foster children, stepchildren, husband, grandmother. That didn't matter. It didn't matter. As long as I came to a space with a fucking vagina, I had to demonstrate my right to lead. Okay? Now, fast forward. Oh, and by the way, I had to wage a campaign. Still kept it quiet because I loved the idea of the Black Power Awards. I would not have fought the way that I did for that event. Every goal that we had set, we exceeded. We set a goal for 325 people to pay $100 to enter into the Black Power Awards. We exceeded that goal by 500 and some change. We caught 823 people in attendance at the Black Power Awards. God damn it. For 12 hours. You're talking about 825 people in a room together for 12 hours without incident, all love, everybody beautiful. We exceeded our goal, and this nigga still did not want to pay. I had to wage a campaign among elders and people we mutually respect, still trying to keep it quiet, that he was doing dirt so I could get paid for what I had executed at that event. But everybody else got paid. David Banner got paid. David Banner got paid a week before. David Banner got paid. Everybody got paid. But the woman who created a process that bridged so many gaps in our community. There are people on that committee I swore I would never do work with politically because we didn't have the same political worldview. And this piece of work really changed my mind on what the potential is. Working with Nuwabians and Hebrew Israelites on the committee, Baptist, little Baptist old ladies and shit. Everybody saw the potential for the Black Power Awards. Everybody that came into contact with the Black Power Awards was like, this shit is right on time. This shit is right on time. And when I went back to Atlanta a couple of years later, they were like, yo, the dude paid his mortgage off with the profit that he made for the Black Power Award. I got no struggle with that. I do not have a struggle with Black people, Africans, being able to benefit from their labor, benefit from their vision. I don't. The problem that I had is with him not being principled out of Jump Street about what his intentions were. If he would have said, yo, look, this thing has the potential to make us a whole lot of money. I want to make sure everybody on the committee gets paid. I want to make sure that we have enough money because we talked about building scholarships out of the Black Power Award. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. You understand what I'm saying? Fulfill your commitments. Don't be talking about Black excellence while you're looking for an opportunity to exploit Africans. So I had to stage a campaign and I made a public political statement. I did. Because it was incorrect and it was a political contradiction. Everybody that I was talking to was trying to make it personal and it wasn't. It was not. We have to be able to make principled struggle with people that we do work with and we share unity of will with, and we love because we love them politically. We have to do that. And so that was the struggle that I waged. I made a political statement. I typed out a position paper. I said, this is why I will not, because he came right out the gate trying to save face. I had to kick Iapo off the committee. No, brother, 3 months before the event, I said, okay, I'm not going to be able to make this kind of commitment for the next year, but we have everything that we need. We have the entire foundation set, the skeleton set, the muscles set to make this thing pop annually and it be effortless. We worked out all the kinks with this particular event. So after he didn't pay me, the first thing he did was went out into the world talking about he had to kick me off the committee. I said, okay, here we are with this dumb shit. Like we don't know no better. Like me and this African had not spent hundreds of hours on the phone during that 8-month period of time doing political education with one another. He didn't know anything about the idea or the concept of dual and contending power. But he'd go out in the world, all these interviews, it's a concept that we got to fight for a dual and contending power. Or tell people where the hell you got it. Because that's what I do. I didn't dream up dual and contending power. Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party was the organization that helped me understand the importance of building institutions of dual and contending power if you are serious about making a struggle against your goddamn enemy. You see. Now, why would I say that? Because I built this institution. I built that brand. I built that brand with the help of 22 people on that committee, most of whom were women, two sisters moved from Texas to Atlanta just to do the work full time. I'm not joking. This is the commitment women have to the fucking movement. This is the commitment that women have to the future of our people. These two sisters was like, this is the most dynamic shit I've ever seen. We're moving to Atlanta. We're going to do this work full time. Nobody on the committee had to pay for attendance, obviously, to an event that they were organizing for free. These were volunteers. Nobody had to pay. Several, I would say easily more than half of the committee, despite the fact that we were not making any of our committee members pay, and I had to fight for that position, by the way, despite not making any of the committee members pay for participation. Not only that, we said, you know what? You're doing so much work. You can bring a spouse for free. Everybody will get a plus one, just because you've made this commitment to build this brand. More than half of the committee paid for tickets anyway. If somebody wants to come and can't afford to come, I'm paying for a ticket because that's how much I believe in this project. Do you think that people come to the table like that? It is the winning of political unity. It is the cheerleading required by leadership to keep the vision always in the front of people's faces about what it is we're doing this work for. Yeah, we were all exhausted, tired, frustrated, all kind of shit. Had throwdowns in the committee. It wasn't all peaches and roses and flowers and shit. We had throwdowns in the committee. It was my responsibility to keep us politically focused, sharp and clear about the end goal. And that, yes, you can always in every meeting, left the last few minutes of the meeting. Now, if there's any struggles that people want to raise, whether with me or with the process or ideas or whatever, this is the time to do that. Do not leave the call backbiting, gossiping, and no bullshit like that. Have enough courage, have enough confidence in your committee and our shared vision that you know that you can raise, even if it is a struggle in this body, and we will work together to figure it out. Even with the people that were openly opposed to the Black Power Wars. Black people openly opposed to the Black Power Wars. When we were doing the radio show as the primary marketing strategy for the Black Power Awards, every single show we posted our phone, my personal phone number, DJ's personal phone number. If you have political struggle that you want to raise with the committee members or with the leaders of this committee about the legitimacy of why we would be having a Black Power Awards, we ain't got nothing to celebrate. You know what I'm saying? We at war. Ugh. You understand? If you got a principal political struggle you want to make in opposition to the Black Power Awards, we want you to know we are not hostile about it. Make the struggle. If you don't feel confident to make it in person, in public on the radio show, call my phone. You might be able to win me to your position, but you are not going to win me to your position making rant videos about how the organizers of the Black Power Awards ain't shit. Or why we need to be celebrating. That's what's wrong with Black people. We party too much. All kind of dumb shit that people were making in opposition as we are holding up champions in our goddamn movement. Men and women that have been doing this work for 50, 60, 70 years that are about to become ancestors in no time. We said, okay, cool. We have to be able to admonish, lift up the names of the champions that have been serving our people while they're alive. Why y'all got a problem with that? We have to be highlighting the contributions that young African men, women, and children are making in real time to solve the problems of our people. Why y'all got a problem with that? We have to present to the world that there is nothing that we need from the white world. Every business, the building that we held it in, the limousine service that we use, all the hotels that we use, all Black everything. Why y'all got a problem with that? Why y'all got a problem with that? Because it wasn't nothing but men talking that bullshit, acting like saboteurs, acting like the police, acting like mad ass white people. How dare these Black people think they can do some shit without us? How dare these Black people think they can do some shit without spending money with us? Shh. All the struggle we went through, all the hell we raised, every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears we put into that piece of work, that magnanimous, wonderful brand, to have one individual completely sabotage and destroy the work that 22 people executed to make it happen. Not just them. Hell, that was a committee. But there were people from all over the community who came through to make sure that the Black Power Awards was a success. Black lawyers, Black business owners, all kinds of people sponsoring the event, giving their money, trusting the vision that we were putting forward for the potential that this institution could have produced, for it to be dead a year later. And I went to the one in 2017, so I ain't talking some shit I don't know. It was a travesty to do the work that we had done in 2016, to go in 2017 and see what was executed there, to see the quality, or dare I say lack thereof, in the execution of this, to see the treatment of Africans at this event, baby. The king of Oya Returns African village, I begged and pleaded him. I was like, look, Oba, you got to come. You have to come, because people need to know what Oya Returns is. People need to know who you are. And they don't know who you are in these circles yet. I said, I met you at the last Black Power Awards. People don't know you. The village has to be put forward as the embassy of all practitioners of Ifa in the United States. There shouldn't be nobody that comes from another country that is a practitioner of Ifa, Santeria, Cordon Bleu, any version of it that does not know the Oya Returns African village is the embassy of Ifa practitioners in the United States. Whether they came out of there or not, it was Oya Returns African village. That was the foundation of everybody in this damn country who practices the spiritual traditions of Africa. I said, that's why you got to come. I convinced this African and his entourage to come to the Black Power Awards in 2017. We sit in the front row looking at the travesty. You can watch videos and everybody talking about how wonderful it is, because it is wonderful when we see a bunch of African people all well-dressed, loving each other and shit. But those of us who are in the know good and goddamn well, 2017 was a travesty. There weren't half the people there. Dare I say there was probably a quarter of the people there that they were there the year before. All these elders throughout the night coming and saying, Iapo, Where you been? We missed you. Do you see this shit? Vendors at the event asking me, what's going on? What am I supposed to be? I was like, no, honey, I'm here as a spectator. This ain't my shit. Y'all came last year. Y'all know how I work. Y'all know how I produce. This ain't me. You better go ask your boy. Oh, but then nobody want to say nothing because, you know, it is a faux pas to be exposing this kind of decadent ass shit that happens in the movement because it makes the group look bad. Well, goddamn, how much more bad can we look? Anyway, as I move forward, Black Power Awards, K-Fine, is another example of this long tendency of personal experiences that I have that I know any Black woman that has been in any kind of political organization, any kind of spiritual circle, hell, even a church, has experienced. Fast forward to 5 days ago, I get a link to a live that Umar Johnson is doing. And I'm thinking it's going to be a general discussion about America's first Pluto returns. It ain't mine. You understand? I've been researching it for well over a year, but it ain't my subject. We need to know about it. But what I will tell you is I've been a practitioner of Ifa since 2008. My Ile, my godmother, Osun Guade Olafemi, my Ile, Olori Temple in Tampa, is a direct descendant of Oyotunji African village. Osojiman Olafemi, Adafumi, of the first king of Oyotunji African village. There are not too many Iles, Babalaos, priests throughout the entire Southeast region that I don't know personally. So when I first started having this epiphany, that started in Oyotunji African village. I lived in the village for 8 months. It was an elder. Let me see if I can find it right quick. It was an elder in the village, Shango Bumi, who is an elder chief in Oyotunji African village. She was the one in 2016 that had a little shop in her Ile. And she was the one that gave me this. In all the years I had been a practitioner of Ifa, I had not heard one priest talk about astrology. Not one. As a matter of fact, even in my Ile, when I was asking, can we do some like full moon rituals or something for this big giant super moon, full moon event that was happening on the equinox, people was like, that ain't really our thing. I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to go out in these woods and get this work in. But even, and I love, so I'm not saying anything negative about the priests in my temple. I love them. I respect them. And they have spoiled me. That's the reason I'm out here by myself and ain't tied myself to no Ile, because the women of Olori Temple have spoiled my ass. But even my Ile, that first year, let's see, it was, I think it was, I want to say it was like 2014, when I wanted to do this big ass ritual on the equinox. For this, it was the first time in so many 100 years it was going to be a super blood blue moon on the equinox. I was like, we got to go get this work in. It was like, nah, we don't really, that ain't really, you know, our thing. But it was Shango Bumi 2 years later in Oyotunji African village that gave me this deck, this African astrology deck that had been produced by Oyotunji African village. There you can see the first king on the back of the deck. Shango Bumi gave me this deck. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I wasn't interested in astrology. I barely read my little astrological doodle in the Sunday paper on the weekend. And so she gave me this African astrology deck in 2016 because I went in retreat. I was so devastated, heartbroken, betrayed by what happened at the Black Power Awards that I retreated, packed up my shit, put it in storage, and moved to Oyotunji African village to try to figure out my fucking life because this Black Power shit was going to kill me. It was going to kill me. It was going to kill me. I see you talking, Duro, but I specifically remember asking y'all, can we get out in these trees and do some shit for this super blue blood moon thing that was happening on the equinox in 2014? And nobody even had a ritual for me. I don't know if you remember that Haitian sister, me and that Haitian sister, there was 10 women. They said, yes, we're going to go with you. I was like, cool. I'm going to get up in these books on this internet and try to find out every ritual I can find out for super moons, blood moons, blue moons, black moons. You understand? Equinoxes, all that shit. And we about to get this work in. Whatever resonates with my spirit, that's what we going to do. We went out there, baby, and it ended up being me and one other woman. I was like, look, I'm with it. If you with it, come on with me. If you ain't, that's cool. I'm about to be up in these woods by my goddamn self getting this work in. And we went the fuck in. We didn't know nothing. I was not a priest. I was new to the tradition, young in the tradition, and we went out in them woods and prayed over this woman's abdomen because she had been sick for years. Prayed over this woman's abdomen. And a year to the date, this thing that was wrong with her, that was told there was no cure for, no hope for, was gone. Was gone. I would have to talk to her before I could say the particulars. But this thing that I had been working with her through my school, I was still in school at the time, taking her to my medical clinic, taking her to my personal doctors, working on her personally. And every doctor said that what she had was inoperable, that even if they could operate, it would kill her. There was less than a 20% chance of her surviving the surgery. 18 years she'd been sick. In a year to the date, she was not only had surgery performed on her, kept her reproductive organs, looked like a brand new human a year later. So I believe in ritual. I believe in magic. And we got up in them goddamn woods and did that work. I was like, look, we got to put out all the stops. You understand what I'm saying? Because I ain't no priest and you ain't no priest. You understand what I'm saying? We got out there salting circles because we ain't need nobody coming up in our shit. You understand? We got out there doing ritual to the Iyami, calling our native ancestors into the circle. Baby, we pulled out the stops that night, goddammit. We did that shit. Anyway, I digress. When I got this deck from Shango Bumi, this is what she gave me. This is the first time I had heard about a Yoruba perspective on the system of astrology. I was like, oh my God, now shit makes sense. Worldview is everything. Culture is everything. She handed me this deck and I became obsessed. Now, all of a sudden, I'm interested in what is happening in the sky. I am trying to understand what is happening in heaven and our relationship to it. She is showing me this entire deck and the Ifa Yoruba correlations to these planets and their movements in heaven, the mythologies and the stories connected to these planets in heaven, our relationship to them. 6,000 years before we ever met a Greek or a Roman, you understand? This is what our people produced to help us understand how we can maximize, how we can take advantage of what is happening in heaven, because we are in heaven. The earth ain't separate from what's happening with the moon and the sun and the planets. The 7 African powers is the 7 greats in the night sky. It is the sun, Mars, Mercury, Venus, the moon, Saturn, Jupiter. And so this is what set me on my wormhole. Now, mind you, I was paying attention to the great American eclipse that happened in 2017. I started taking crazy notes. I got receipts, boo. I ain't got to prove nothing to none of y'all. I got receipts about my fucking study. Hell, as a matter of fact, you can just go through all of my goddamn picture folders. This is shit I have been on since 2016 with this African handing me this deck about who our people said these planets were, what the associations are. Now, the reason I'm prefacing with this is because I see, and I've been studying this since the way that I have since 2016. God damn it. So I get on here, I decide that I have to tell African people and other people for that matter, because everybody is on the planet. Africans ain't on the planet by their goddamn self. What are going to be the future of our relationships with other indigenous people around the world? Indigenous people ain't just in North America. The question of indigeneity ain't something that is peculiar to the Western Hemisphere. There are indigenous people all over the goddamn planet. And we have to know what the nature of our relationship is going to be based on how we as Africans and other colonized people in America have the ability to shift shit in our favor. So let me backtrack. I get this goddamn video link. I don't think it's gonna be about nothing other than some date stating and shit like that. I talked to every damn priest I know. I talked to the Alagba of the Egungun Society who did not know nothing about America's first Pluto return. And I respect this African. That's not a criticism. He just didn't know. And I knew that because I knew most Africans didn't know. There wasn't nobody talking about it black. So I said, okay, cool. I called him. I was like, look, I'm just feeling desperate. But anybody who knows me and knows I've been in the tradition the period of time I've been in, it's been my soapbox for years. Why y'all handling Oya the way y'all handling Oya? I'll go into a bembe like, how y'all forget of all the Orisha, y'all forget Oya? Y'all just forget to sing and dance to Oya in a goddamn bembe. That's happened at least 3 times that I can remember in my recent memory. Where we'll go through everybody. I'm like, wait, what about Oya? So that's been my soapbox for years. Is the mishandling in my estimation of how people show up for Oya. You understand? So I get on this damn live that's, already gone, happened or whatever. And I see at least the first 30 minutes of this man's presentation is almost word for word what I have been talking about since the beginning of January in my workshops. I'm like, surely this is my imagination. Surely I'm tripping. Giving motherfuckers the benefit of the doubt type of shit. Surely I'm tripping. And I'm talking about Umar Johnson. Just so y'all know, there is no mistake in who I am talking about. I see a live that Umar Johnson does 5 days ago. I research. I go back to see, has he been talking about this all along and I just missed it somehow? Because I ain't tied to him. I'm not friends with him because I don't respect him. I've met Umar Johnson many times, several times. He asked me to come and teach at his school that never materialized in shit. You understand? But I don't respect him. So I'm not tied to him on any of my social media at all. I take a position. You see? So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm tripping. So I go through to see, is this the first time 5 days before Pluto makes its return that this African is talking about Pluto's return and talking about it from a Yoruba perspective? Is this the first time, or am I tripping? Did he hear it somewhere and I just missed it? Because I'm calling everybody I know in the tradition. Are you hip to what's happening with this Pluto returns and the implications for African people, what it can mean for us, how we need to prepare? So I go on this thing and I'm like, yeah, babe, aside from the theatrics of repeating every goddamn 3 times and the mean mug constantly and shit, because you can't talk to people straight, give them straight information without theatrics. You understand? Cool, fine. And it was so hard for me to get through because I was like, okay, my shadow, which is all about this period, and I've been talking to y'all about that. This period is about us who call ourselves world changers, cleaning up our shadow shit before we call ourselves leading any motherfucking body. It's not just about the shadows of America and the shadow shit and the dirty shit that Americans did or white people did. It is about us, the individual. What is our baggage that we still carry that is holding us back? That's what it's about. What is holding us back, and can you let it go? Can you leave it in the past? Can you relinquish your malignant ass ego enough to catapult the people's movements forward? That's what it's about. So I say, okay, still, even now, even knowing this man's character, benefit of the doubt, let me scroll back through and see how long this African has been talking about Pluto return as Oya, as Shango, as Babaluaye, because I ain't heard nobody else say it. not even priest in the tradition that I know was born and raised in the tradition. We don't know what you're talking about, Yapo. But as soon as I tell them, they're like, oh my God, that's so deep. They understood it immediately. But it wasn't nothing that was on our radar. While white people around the goddamn planet are talking about this shit every day for months. I said, okay. I go back. 5 days ago was the first time I'm hearing him say anything about it. Now, all of a sudden, every day he's doing a video about America's first Pluto return. He got all these dates. You understand what I'm saying? Because Pluto stations direct today, exact today at 27 degrees. Will be exact until March 10th at 27 degrees. But she will be exact 3 more times, just so you know. Because I know you don't know. And I'm talking about Umar specifically. But she'll be exact the first time. She goes exact 4 times. The first time today through March 10th. So, okay, now he brings in dates, significant historical dates that happen around this time. It's not a coincidence that for the first time in 246 years, Oya returns to the place exact in Capricorn that she was when this bitch was created, when this monstrous institution called America was created. It is not a coincidence that Oya, if you want to call him Pluto or Hades or whatever, Oya, which outdates them both, you see. The mother of radical transformation through destruction, through winds, through storms, comes in a whirlwind in Black History Month of 2022. Not just that. One day before old George Washington's ugly ass birthday. America's first president, you see. So I say, okay, I'm not gonna be angry because that's not a political statement to be angry. What the political statement is this. I heard this African on this little rant he went on about Pluto as Oya, Pluto, Saturn as Babuluwaye, Capricorn being Babuluwaye, right? Transitioning into Aquarius in 2024, Shango. Detail shit I've been talking about 2 hours a day to 4 hours a day for the last 7 weeks every Saturday. I was like, damn. Right? And so I said, okay, let's examine this man's history. Because see, what happens is the reason that charlatans, lunatics, and it's easy to reduce somebody to crazy. I don't think he is crazy. Y'all said that. Y'all got on there when he was doing all that ranting and raving a few years ago, and then a couple of years after that. Y'all said crazy. I don't think crazy is not a political statement. Sabotage is a political statement. Agent provocateur, that's a political statement. Police shit, that's a political statement. I won't call it anything else. I will not let you off the hook with an assessment of one being crazy, you see. I won't do that. Because what it does is keep us in the same quagmire we always in, trying to play catch up with the opposition because somebody in the clique is constantly sabotaging any forward motion that we can make. Plagiarism is sabotage. When you can ask any of the people that have been taking my workshop over the last 7 weeks, I don't just talk as if, because the first thing that I said in every single workshop, I am not an astrologer. I don't read charts, still struggling with my own chart, child. I don't know the science of astrology. What made me interested in astrology was the historical perspective that was always tied by known astrologers to these historically significant relationships of these planets and their alignments. That was what was interesting to me. What was interesting to me was when I heard Tanya Gabrielle talk about years ago the significance of this coming event. And I said, and I'm talking about a specific event that, of course, he did not mention, but it's significant. When she started talking about the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn that happened January 12th of 2020, 6 weeks before the country got shut down for COVID. She started talking about this great conjunction between Saturn and Pluto in Saturn's own house for the first time in 514 years. The last time it happened was 1518. My knee-jerk response as a political activist, not as an astrologer, was what the fuck was happening in Africa in 1518? What the hell was happening in the Western Hemisphere, in North and South America in 1518? What was happening in Asia in 1518? My political brain was like, that's significant. So while everybody else, Tanya Gabrielle, Pam Gregory, all of these great astrologers that I pay attention to, because they know the mathematics and the science of astrology, I don't. And I'm telling you, it ain't no shit. I'm really trying to learn. That's why you have specialists that have a lane. And then you can come together with the information that you have and the perspective that you have that they may not know and make some shit happen. So I said, okay, cool. Everybody is talking about 1518. And the last time that this event happened was the year that Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the wall of the German Catholic Church and set off the Protestant Reformation of the church. Now, to Protestants, which are many around the world, this was like a glorious thing. Hell, we even named one of our leaders after him. God rest, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But Martin Luther was an animal. Martin Luther was a dog. Martin Luther was a patriarch. Not only he was the worst kind of patriarch, he hated women. He was married and refused to have sex with his wife because he thought she was filthy and did not deserve to bear children by him. You see, the Protestant Reformation of the church eventually rained fucking hell on Africans and Native Americans. It was Protestants that colonized North America. It was Protestants. So everybody's talking about this wonderful event that is indicative of the kind of power that can be tapped into that was caused when Pluto and Saturn, Oya and Babaluaye, met in Babaluaye's house. Now, without African-centered perspective, any regular everyday African will hear Pluto and Saturn come in conjunct in Capricorn, and that shit sound exactly like what it is. Greek. Don't mean nothing to us. But after having been gifted this wonderful, these are interventions, by the way. These are spiritual interventions. When this African gives me the last deck that she has, because they ain't been printed since who knows when, of African astrology based on the Yoruba perspective, to me. You see, these are interventions. So I started studying hardcore in 2020. So when she says that Saturn and Pluto come in conjunct for the first time 415 years, that was also the year that the Pope officially put his stamp of approval on the growing of the transatlantic slave trade. The same year. So the same time, everybody talking about Martin Luther, couldn't nobody take the 2 seconds that it took me to say what was happening in Africa in 1518. What was happening in North America in 1518? Do you know what else happened in 1518 in South America? The Pontiac Wars. One of the greatest rebellions to Spanish conquest in South America. 2 seconds it took me. What was happening in South America in 1518? That's what I was interested in. Astrology being able to give us a timeline of historical events that correspond with these movements in heaven and to give us a hint around what the energy potential is if we can collectivize our efforts and our energy, our frequency, not just our frequency. That I ain't talking about no hippie shit. I am talking about raising the level of our consciousness while in the same vein doing on the ground, real world political work. I understood instantly how revolutionaries, how political activists, how all of these people who've been doing this wonderful work and feel like they spinning their goddamn wheels could be plugged into this energy dynamic that was coming into play. Now, as an African, hearing Pluto and Saturn come in conjunct in Capricorn, but now I know that Pluto is Oya, that Saturn is Baba Luaye and that Capricorn is Baba Luaye's house is Baba Luaye. I'm like, this shit about to pop. Oya is the owner of the mask. We are looking at a real world personification of Oya's reign in the period, walking around in mask for 2 years. But we think this shit is just mythology, you see. It's just a coincidence that Baba Luaye is the bringer of plague. And 6 weeks later, we were already in the plague, by the way. But 6 weeks later, we in America got hip to the game, you understand, and ended up going on lockdown. When we have a culturally centered perspective on these ancient sciences, then we can become predictors, if you will, of things to come. Okay? So I hear this clown. I'm saying what I'm saying because I am angry, but I am angry politically. Because just like I told you, who got me hip to the significance of these energy exchanges that happen between Earth and the other planets? Listen, throughout the entire time that I have been teaching these workshops, if I have some insight that comes from some other place, I say, look, this is where I got this particular insight, and this is where it led me. That is called having integrity. Tanya Gabrielle may never see my shit. Pam Gregory may never see my shit. And it don't matter. I have enough integrity to say where the hell I am learning these ideas. When I started learning about the planets from an African-centered perspective, I said, you know what? I have mentors. Let me call one of them. Let me call Durojaye, because I've always respected her style of teaching. It's so infectious. And she always blows my mind. I can never know enough. Yes, I am a teacher, but I am a student. And I am, you know what? It ain't even about humility. It is about, I have enough integrity. I try to have enough high character to say who is imparting wisdom in my life, because it's not mine to hold hostage. Everybody that is having this conversation should be having this conversation. So my initial response when the brother sent me the link to Umar Johnson's thing, I was like, good. As many people need to be having access to this conversation as possible. We got 2 years to make this shit pop. If we want the pendulum to swing in our favor, we got 2 years. That's a hell of a lot of time to change the world, baby. Cool. He got more following than I do. Cool. And then when I hear this nigga's presentation, I go good and goddamn well where he got it from. I'm sorry. That is not arrogance. I know good and goddamn well where he got it from. And he never said my name. Look, this sister is onto something, you guys. Yapo, I just saw this live she did about Pluto as Oya and Aquarius as Shango, and the shit is deep. And I ain't never talked about it, but I understood instantly what she was saying. It resonated with me instantly, what she was saying. You see? And it's not about glory. It is about, can we demonstrate once and for all that we have high character, that we believe what we say, that we have integrity, that we believe what we say. Ifa, the main foundational principle of Ifa is to live with good character. Iwa Pele. And I done met so many people in the goddamn tradition who have no character, who have no integrity. But all they got to do is know the prayers and sing the songs and sport their eleke, and they straight. And if they have a penis, they are given the benefit of the doubt regardless of the crimes that they have committed and never atoned for. How the fuck you going to be talking about Oya? How are you going to be talking about the great revealer? She who puts on a mask to reveal her enemies. She who digs up the deepest, darkest dirt that we have ever done, not to make us feel bad, but to burn that shit off so that we can evolve. It is not about making people feel bad. I expose myself to y'all on here a lot, yo. I tell y'all shit that I probably shouldn't even tell you. But it is not about feeling bad. We are having an experience that is teaching us through trial how to be the best version of ourselves, how to become God again. That's what these experiences are meant to do for us. And ego, I am telling you, baby, hear me. Ego will never allow you to have breakthrough. You can have an epiphany here and there. You can. But the breakthrough that is required for the evolutionary process that is being handed to us, unfolding before us in real time to radically transform the conditions of the suffering of the people of the planet. You cannot have the breakthrough that is required if you do not do the work of Shango. The work of Shango is about destroying the ego to become your best self. You talking about Oya and the balancer of the scales of justice. She who will rain hell on your life, but only to allow you to grow. She only wants you to grow. It's like the ass whooping you get from your mama. Your mama done told you over and over again, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm telling you, don't do that. I'm going to beat your ass. I'm going to fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to only fuck you up because I love you. But if I keep telling you the same thing over and over again and I can't reason with you, I'm going to have to beat your ass. But afterwards, you learn a lesson. The snaps connects. And you like, you know what? Mama was right. I was tripping. I done had to eat crow on a many a day. That's what you call integrity. There are things that I had done and said that I knew were wrong. And they happened 20 years ago. And I call my mom, I say, look, you ain't ever know this. Probably would have died never knowing this. But I just want to tell you that you were right. I want to tell you that I respect that you were right and that it was my ego and my resistance that put me in the quagmire that your insight could have saved me from. Thank you so much, Mama, for having enough patience with me to deal with my fucking malignant ass ego when I was young and didn't know no better, but swore I knew every goddamn thing. Did that make me feel bad to tell my mother she was right? To go to her with integrity to say, you may not have ever found out the dirt I did, but it's important for me and my growth to tell you not only that I did dirt, but I am sorry for it, and I am grateful for your insight. I am grateful for you supporting me even as I was fucking up. It is important to me to be able to say the name of Amalia Shatella with respect and reverence, despite the fact that our journey together ended. And even not in the best way. That I will never speak ill of Amalia Shatella. He is my father, in a sense. What I understand as consciousness, what I understand as what is necessary for sovereignty to unfold, how I move as an organizer, even in my relationships with others. I learned from the African People's Socialist Party. So I get on here and I have to say, I am outraged by what I know. If it was not just some narcissistic, like, oh, let me co-opt this is the shit and jump in front of it because this is new and ain't nobody talking about it, or if it's some police behavior, which I'm not, I ain't got no problem saying it's probably both. But for you, Umar Johnson, who have paid no dues, everybody in the community knows your dirt. I ain't seen no grand sweeping gesture on your part to make right what you have done to Africans. I ain't seen it. I might have missed it. If I missed it, please somebody tell me. And I will retract my statement. I will say I am apologetic. I was incorrect. But as I know now, I have not seen any evidence of any dues that you have paid, any restitution that you have made for the crimes we all know that you have committed against Africans. There are estimates of between $250,000 to $500,000 that you called on Africans to give you with the sole expression, promise that you made of building an institution for African boys. I haven't seen a deed. to property, a lease to a building. I haven't seen a school or curriculum that has been developed, blueprints, a committee that you have organized under your leadership to hold you accountable. I haven't seen a council of elders that can keep you in check. We should welcome that. We should welcome that if we genuinely interested in changing the world. That's all I'm saying. There ain't nobody that know me that know they can't call me and check me. That shit you said was fucked up, Yapo. You fucking up. There ain't nobody that don't know me that know that they cannot call my phone and say, Yapo, I respect you, but baby, look, you might really want to reconsider your position on X, Y, and Z. And because I know where their heart is, because I know they give a damn about the future of our people, I trust that they're making this criticism because they give a damn about me. You see, you have dues to pay, Umar Johnson. You have a debt to pay to African people. You have raised money with a promise that you stated over and over and over again for almost 15 years to build an institution, but you ain't got no checks and balances in place. You ain't produced anything. While there are African-centered schools out here doing the work without the access to resources. Shout out to Baba Amin and Sister Nkoyo. Shout out to Queen Thais. Shout out to Tima Atzi and Tahir RBG. Shout out to Mwalamu Barudi and Ya Barudi. Shout out the hundreds of institutions around this country that were built by Africans who genuinely give a damn about the future of African people and said, nobody else is doing it. Fuck it, we gonna do it our goddamn self. We're gonna build these schools so our babies don't have to go into these bastions of hatred while we always picking and talking about we need fair education in the public school system. No, we don't. We need sovereign schools. That's what we need. And here you done raised this kind of money. You ain't got no receipts about the contributions that you've made to these stilled institutions. Some of these institutions have been on the damn ground 40 years. You can come with a silver ass tongue on the scene, no dues, no history, just say you got connections here, there, and everywhere, and all of a sudden everybody's giving you the benefit of the doubt and handing you money, and all you gotta do is make a sermon every now and again. You have dues to pay. And if you give a goddamn about Africans, you would welcome paying the dues, baby. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You would welcome paying the dues. You would say, look, I want to fall on my face at the feet of Africa. I want to fall on my face at the feet of African people and say, I accept responsibility for my missteps. I want to make amends by supporting the institutions of African people who have been, most of whom are elders, who have been doing this work and securing that every year Africans are turned out geniuses. Every year Africans are turned out geniuses for these institutions that many of them have funded from out their own pockets. This is how I am going to make up for my misdeeds. I am going to hold myself accountable to elders in the community. That's the only way I believe you. In my organization, when I was in the party, we called that criticism and self-criticism. That's a political statement. It ain't about apologies. Don't nobody give a damn about apologies. And this is a side note. People of color, colonized people around the world, stop accepting apologies from your enemies that do not correspond with dividends, return of land, return of property, restitution, that do not correspond with this is how we are going to pay. This is how we are going to resolve the damage imposed on you by this action that we're apologizing for. If apology is not accompanied by hard currency resources, land, restitution, reparations, tell them keep your motherfucking apology until you come back correct. Stop making these damn public displays of accepting somebody's apology that's not corresponding with the wealth they stole from your ass. Now, back to the lecture at hand. You have dues to pay. Don't be talking about my mother, baby. Oya is my mother. Do not be talking about my mother Do not be talking about any of the mothers. As a matter of fact, don't call the name of none of the Orisha if you ain't gonna act right. If you ain't gonna act right, do not call the names of the Orisha, because I don't believe you. It is a costume you put on the tradition. It is a play you perform the tradition. And he ain't the only one. I'm calling him out because I'm angry. But he ain't the only one, and you know who you are. Stop using the tradition of my ancestors as a costume that you wear, as a play you perform, as a song you sing when it makes you look good among the clique, a prayer that you say in public when you think it's going to get you tied to some honey. We do not have time for this shit. Women in these movements, women in these traditions, women in these circles, women in these churches, stop accepting and co-signing this madness. We give power to every malignancy that exists in our community when we are complicit. We embolden the madness that we criticize behind closed doors when we do not expose it. We cannot be talking about Oya. We cannot be talking about Yemaya or Osun or Oba or any of the female essence of these deities without talking about regaining the power that was ours, the power that men have. They were gifted by the mothers. They were gifted this power by the mothers. They are not our rulers. They are our sons. They are not our kings. They are our princes. I'm talking about the collective embodiment of women, the collective power potential of women. But we have drank the Kool-Aid, baby. I hate to use that. That's probably politically incorrect to use that statement. But we have bought into the madness of misogyny and patriarchy as much as they have. We would be the facilitators and initiators of misogyny inside these circles and then have the audacity to complain about our treatment in the world. Our sons have condemned us. Our sons have condemned us. That is why the attacks on African women are as pervasive as they are. That's why there are scores of thousands of black women and children, female children in this country who nobody knows their names. That's why the leading cause of death of black women in this country is death by intimate partner or spouse. Don't get mad about it. Understand, and then you have a responsibility, if you are a man, to champion these issues. These are not women's issues. These are not issues. These are not issues peculiar to women. This is the primary symptom of a malignancy that exists in our community, and that we have to resolve it. And it can't be. Let me tell you something. This brother said. He made this whole speech about Pluto, you understand, and retribution and revolution and all that shit sound good. And then he said, for the next 18 days, you feel me, you got to go out here and you got to do the political work, and you got to do the economic work, and you got to do the social work. All these sweeping ambiguities that sound all nice, but the one concrete solution that he offered in that whole thing was, and women don't give nobody no pussy unless they acting right. First of all, that's not your place to say. That's first of all. If African women come to the conclusion that that's what we have to do collectively to make y'all act right, that's one thing. Nigga, that's not your place to say. Especially since you hate African women. Let me correct that. You hate a particular type of African women. See, he talked this bullshit, brothers. You know, we gotta protect the black woman. We gotta protect the black family. Shut up. Shut up. Black women need their power handed back to them. They need you to stop exploiting their power. That's what they need. What do you mean black women need to be protected? From who? By who? From who? By who? Black women need power. The power that has been stolen from them by their sons, by the hatred their sons have for them. And I'm talking about every Black woman. I'm talking about whether she is giving birth or not, whether she has a mother or not. I'm talking about the collective spirit of Black women, you see. Somebody gonna be mad about it, and that's fine. I don't give a fuck. You need to hear that protection is an insult in my estimation. Because my tradition teaches me that Black women have been powerful warriors from day one. What we need is for you to stop attempting to demote our power, to steal our power. It is not a small thing that you would plagiarize a concept that I have been sitting in ceremony with for 8 fucking months. It's not. I do the work. I do the spiritual work. I get in here uncomfortable in my spiritual work, you see, to be able to hear epiphany from my ancient self and from my ancestors and from my spirit guides and from God itself. These epiphanies to be still enough to hear spirit speak. How dare you? How dare you? There is not a person who's the many hours that I have spent studying what is happening to us right now. How we can take advantage, how we can win, how we can win. There is not a person that has contributed to this unfolding in me that I don't mention. Don't mean I agree with everything that they all say, but this is the web. This is the web. Santos Bonacci blew my wig off. I watched Tanya Gabrielle. I respect her as an astronumerologist. Right? Rosalino. And what's her name? Pam Gregory. I give props to whoever spirit puts in my line of sight to retrieve information from. I do not act like this shit is some epiphany I just came to on my own. That's why before I ever even did a workshop, I made sure to call my mentors and my elders. Have you heard of this thing? This Pluto returns. What does the tradition have to say about it? When I get when I make these calls and initiate these conversations and over and over and over and over and over again from people who've been in the tradition 30, 40, 50 years say, I don't know, I had not heard of that, I am not aware. Then I step out into the world and say, well, let me teach this information because this is some shit we got to get down with. I made sure that I was not putting my cart before the horse. That this was an epiphany that I was having based on the different perspectives that I come from. As a practitioner of Chinese medicine. As a student of alternative medicine for almost 20 years. And these perspectives and how they impacted me politically. In the 20 plus year political history that I have. And my personal experience as a mother and a grandmother. And my experience in my relationships with Native people and indigenous people of other cultures. And the wisdom that they have to bring to the table so that we can all be done with this shit. This maniacal, fucking shit your ass was on last night. If you indigenous, aboriginal, this ain't for you, nigga, bye with that shit. We are evolving from that shit. Yes, Africa has to be free. Yes, Africa has to be liberated. Yes, Africans, those at home and those abroad, have to have sovereignty. But what? At somebody else's expense? Man, later for that shit. I stand with the people of the goddamn world, man. I stand with the people of the planet. That's the principled thing to do. That's the principled position to have. That's what it means. We can't have it both ways, man. We can't call ourselves the first on the planet. We can't say that we're the mothers of the planet, the first to be here, the oldest on the planet, and then have a position like us and fuck everybody else. I reject that. I reject it. You ain't gonna have me out here. Yes, I love Africa. Yes, I love African people. Yes, I want to see us happy and thriving. But I want that for every goddamn body else too. And with nothing coming at anyone else's expense. I want the world to be free, goddammit. I want the world to be made well from the madness and the sickness of imperial white power. God damn it. Listen, baby. You would co-opt something as sacred as the traditions of our ancestors and spit that venom you spit the other day to create these divisions that only exist as a consequence of each and every one of our peculiar relationship with our oppressor. So who do you work for? If you are not the police, stop acting like the fucking police. Stop robbing Africans. Because that's what the police do. Stop creating divisions among sick people who need to be working together. Sorry, a lot of y'all gonna be mad about that. But to be an Afrocentrist, to be a Black nationalist is not synonymous with fuck everybody else. Mexicans have a right to center themselves first, but not at somebody else's expense. Natives have a right to center themselves first, but not at anybody else's expense. Africans have a right to center themselves first because our peculiar relationship with colonial power is peculiar to us. But you will not have me out here in the world spitting that shit no more. Honey, I don't call myself a Black nationalist no more. I call myself a future world visionary. I want to see the world happy. And what happiness means is freedom, sovereignty, wellness, the sickness of isolation eradicated from the consciousness of human beings. The isolation, the depression, the fear, the anxiety eradicated from our fucking memory, knowing it was something imposed on us. To keep our minds off memory that we all have of what our potential could be and has been. Stop doing that shit. If you are not going to move with integrity in all things, step back, step down. My homeboy says all the time that if you look throughout history, every time we make a leap forward, we always get thrust back. His quote is, we always one nigga away from freedom. Somebody in the clique trying to come up off the crew, come up off the momentum created by the group, sabotage the ambitions of the group. Stop acting like the police. Ain't nobody got no time for this shit. Give props where props are due. It is me sitting in communion with my mother that produced the urgency that I saw to create this 7-week workshop that I've given my goddamn whole existence. I stopped working. I ain't balling out of control to initiate this workshop. I said, this is important. There is an urgency that exists, and I cannot articulate it, but our people need access to this information. I'm going to teach it as a workshop so I could try to continue to feed myself and keep my bills paid, which I was not successful in doing that, by the way, just so you know. And if y'all need the receipts of how much money I made teaching the workshop, y'all can know that too. I ain't got no stakes in imperialism, baby. I have no stakes in imperialism. I have no stakes in prolonging the misery and suffering of this planet or the people on it, the inhabitants of it. I have no stakes whatsoever in imperialism in any of its manifestations. I don't. But when you behave in a way that is counter to integrity, that is counter to high morals, that is, and I ain't talking about morals like no bourgeois morality neither. I'm talking about how you treat your people, period. Period. Period, 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 period. I know who you are by how you treat your people. I know how you are by how you treat your people. I know who you are by the way you treated this sister that you courted. And then when you got found out for your affinity for strippers, threw her under the bus and slandered her. You don't give a damn about Black women. When you can't care about who you perceive to be the lowest of us, you don't give a damn about none of us. When all you had to do is say, look, I'm a single Black man. I love titties and ass. Let me go throw these sisters some coins. That's the principal thing to do. I can respect that. I can respect that. Because we ain't Christians out here. We are not trying to reproduce that shit. That's not the morality I'm talking about. No bourgeois ass, duplicitous ass morality. That's not what I'm talking about. If you're single and you out in the world trying to experience the world, boo, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But don't be under the guise of coming into political life or into spiritual life with tied to this bourgeois morality about how you see women in general and Black women in particular, and do what you did to this African woman, and you ain't got nothing to say about it. Not only that, a whole bunch of women got on board to champion your disdain for this woman. I know who you are by how you treat Africans. I don't have to hear no sermon from you, no speech, no none of that shit to know who you are. Your lack of integrity in your behavior and interactions with Africans speaks volumes over any bullshit you say on a live, dear. Sorry. And I know maybe 15 people will see this. And they'll be like, she's just a hating ass. She just typical. Why we always got to be hating on the Black man? Man, fuck that. Oya says, make it shown so it can be judged. We have been sitting on the dirt committed by people who look like us inside spaces that are supposed to be safe and sacred. We become demoralized by these transgressions against us. And instead of calling that shit out and going to battle with this tendency, we retreat like I did, you see, with my ex-husband, with my organization, with Dwayne. We retreat because we are humiliated. How could this have happened to me? How could I have fallen again for the words of a narcissist, egomaniacal lunatic, seeing an opportunity to exploit us? How could this have happened to me again? Wanting to trust so badly that there are enough of us inside these organizations and institutions that give a damn about the future of our people that will put everything on the line. And our ancestors the whole while, baby, he ain't it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Every time I got my ass handed to me by some African in the movement, my ancestors were kicking my ass. I could hear my big mama like, girl, you know this some bullshit. The little pit in my stomach, the little race in my heart. Spirit's like, come on, really? You gonna do this again, Cassandra? You gonna do this again, Iapo? Okay, boo, you gotta learn. I could have let this shit slide. But I would not be doing the shadow work y'all demands in this period. Stop talking about America's first Pluto return if we ain't gonna talk about the debts that we have to pay. The shit in our own lives that we have to clean up. The mud oozing out of the orifices of our hearts that we refuse to clean up. All the while projecting that we somebody that we are not. You want me, Umar Johnson, to believe that you are who all of a sudden now you say you are? Show receipts of retribution, redemption, restoration. Own your shit to the masses that you have exploited and say, this is my commitment. Yes, I fucked up. This is how I intend to rectify and clean up my shit. Because Oya has been at work on my spirit. She is like, baby, this cannot go on. You have too much influence. You have too much potential to fall down this path, lead our people astray. This is my commitment. My commitment is to African people, and this is what that commitment looks like. I want to call on elders in my community to keep me honest in my relationship with African people. The money that I have received over the years, to the tune of $500,000, I will continue to do the presentations and the speeches and the this and that, and I will make a commitment to make sure that proceeds are distributed to these schools and these institutions who are actually doing the work that I said I would be doing. Outside of that, I don't fucking believe. Call out the name of this sister that you threw under the bus when you were found out, and on her fucking feet like the God she is, and say, I want to redeem myself. I was wrong in how I handled you. This is the commitment of rectification I intend to execute, and this is how. Outside of that, I don't believe nothing you say. Nothing. God damn it. Stop abusing our fucking people. Stop abusing our people and constantly talking about the white man this and the white man that. The white world ain't never gonna be off the hook. That's a given. How are we behaving within our community? How can we rectify that? How can we clean that shit up? How can we make ourselves the best version of ourselves, that when we make a contest with the white world, we are unblemished. Our armor is unblemished. The weaknesses and the kinks in the armor are fortified. Come on, man. Come on. We got to stop doing that shit. Man, the leading cause of death of pregnant Black women in this country is death by intimate partner or spouse. Who is that? Is the majority of women, Black women in this country, in partnerships with non-Africans? No. So who is it that is murdering African women that are pregnant? Who is it that are murdering African women in general and African girls? Who is it that is kidnapping African women and girls and selling them into sex slavery? Sorry. It is statistically those that are closest to them. Stop making excuses for malignant behavior. It is malignant. It is literally killing us. It is literally destroying our community. We got every excuse under the sun, but we know the game played by our enemy. What responsibility do we have? White people, the police can bring 1 million guns in the goddamn community. It don't mean you got to fire a one. But the white man becomes the problem. The police becomes the sole and only problem when we look at death rates in the cities of our communities that outnumber actual war zones in military engaged communities. Come on, we can't keep doing this shit, yo. And women can't keep being silent. Women can't keep being silent. Women have to charge our sons with a higher sense of integrity. Women have to do that work. Stop saying a woman, a Black woman, the God of the goddamn planet, cannot teach a boy how to be a man. Yes, the fuck she can. Charge your sons. Hold them to a higher level. Teach them what their responsibility is, not only for themselves, not only for their families, but for their entire community. Teach them. Purify, purge yourself from the sickness and the madness of patriarchy, of white nationalism. Because we all suffer from the madness of white nationalism, boo. I don't care how many RBG wristbands you got. We have to do war with that shit in our brain every day. We do. We do. White nationalism is the offspring of patriarchy, not the other way around. White supremacy is the grandson of patriarchy, not the other way around. This is the work. This is the chart. I said all I want to say about Umar Johnson. I know where I stand. I know the work that I have done. I know the commitment that I've made over the last 8 months about this. I have the receipts if you need them, going as far back as 2016. I ain't trying to get famous for you. I ain't riding on no coattails. I'm trying to save the fucking world. I'm trying to have my part, play my part in changing the world. Any study that I do is for that. Any person that I put my hands on is for that. It's for that. I became a doctor as a revolutionary, not the other way around. As a revolutionary. Every piece of art I produce is because I see its role in this future that I am trying to create. Anyway, I'm going to be done with that. There's some other things I want to talk about, so I'm just going to do another live. But I wanted to address that. Black men, men of color, colonized men, because what I am experiencing is not peculiar to Black people. In my relationships with indigenous people from both North and Southern Hemisphere, they have the same complications because they're colonized people. They have the same contradictions because they colonize people. They have the same set of circumstances because they colonize people. Though there may be a peculiar expression to those circumstances, my experiences that I'm talking about here are the same in these communities. At some juncture, you men are going to have to accept responsibility for the way our communities look. You are going to have to relinquish your ego and put forward the mothers, put forward the grandmothers, hold yourself accountable to the elder women in your community. That's it. That's my estimation. That's a good starting point. That's a good starting point. That's a good starting point. We have to get out of this quagmire. And what is happening is not doing it. What we're currently doing is not doing it. Men leading in mass is not doing it. We can look over the last 400 years of our existence in this bitch, and the women are all but disappeared from history. And we don't see a correlation between the absence of the presence of women in the shit we've been living in for the last 400 years. Yeah, every now and again, you'll point out some singular woman who did some singular thing and say, see, we do acknowledge women. That ain't what I'm talking about. That ain't what I'm talking about. Y'all don't want to have the discussion, and I understand why. I do. But we have debts to pay. We have skeletons. We have secrets. We have regrets that are deserved. We have things that we are guilty of, even as colonized people, that we have to atone for. We cannot keep having a one-sided view of what is happening in the world. Yes, imperial white power is the face of modern power. The oligarchy or the globalocracy or the corporatocracy or any kind of bougie ass name you want to give to imperialism, it's still what it is. It is not secret societies. God damn it. When it comes to a decision that we have to make in the moment, to harm or not to harm, to steal or not to steal, to judge or not to judge, to slander or not to slander, we have to take responsibility. We cannot keep calling ourselves God. We cannot keep talking about the creative potential of the human spirit and then relinquishing power to someone else. Well, you know, it is the propaganda of the Illuminati that's causing us to act this way. No, sorry. They can do what they do, but at the end of the day, there is a decision in a moment to pull the trigger or not to pull the trigger, to see the face of God in another or not. We have dues to pay. We have crimes that we have committed. We have dirt that we have to atone for. Everybody is being judged. It's not just white power. White power is being judged, baby. Better know that. Better know that. Oya has come to handle business. So you better know that. These next 2 years is going to be off the chain. She came to handle business, but baby, she is not one-sided. She is the space between all things. All have to be judged. All have to atone. You have to accept the role that you have played in your own immiseration. Y'all don't want to hear that though, because it's easy to say they did that over there without saying this shit that we did in response. See, that's that bullshit. I'm sorry. Well, you know, the motherfuckers wouldn't be, you know, gangsters. Motherfuckers wouldn't be criminals or murderers, you know, if they had resources, if they had some options in the world. You feel what I'm saying? Sorry. You know, I mean, I know that the Buffalo Soldiers did some messed up stuff. You understand what I'm saying? But we didn't really have no options as Africans during that. Sorry. But you know, I mean, the white man was coming down on the natives like the plague. And so some of them just felt like they didn't have no options but to become scouts for the enemy. Sorry. There are no excuses. Only acceptance is what I meant. Only acceptance. This is the role that we played in the continued immiseration of the group. This is what we did. Well, you know, they did recruit us when we was only 17 in these schools, and we didn't really see no way out. We ain't had no options, you understand? So we just went to the military. And yeah, it was wrong that we killed all these people who was minding their own goddamn business, and we knew it was going to enrich the empire. But, you know, damn, like, where was I going to go with a C average in high school and no skills? Sorry. I know I murdered people that I ain't even know, and they never did nothing to me. But I needed a job. Sorry. There are no excuses. The world is what it is right now because we all have participated. We all have participated. The Illuminati, the empire, the hidden empire, what these secret societies, they could only do what they do and continue to do what they do with our participation, with our belief in its legitimacy. That's it. We all have to atone. That's the shit we don't want to do. Everybody want to be the phoenix without walking through the fire. Everybody want to be the phoenix without walking through the fire. Baby. This is it. The line is drawn. Which side in history will you be on? Oya has come to stake her claim. All praise will have to be given to her when this thing is complete. She came on the scene right on time to kick ass and take names and bless us all after our asses get beat. Understand what I'm saying? Our asses is about to get beat. We about to get the spanking. And I welcome it. We about to get the spanking. But if we can't even do the gentle work, we can't even do the real shadow work right now. That's easy. That's easy shit we be being called to do. It's the easy shit. That shit we ain't never faced. That dirt we ain't never took responsibility for. That shit ain't gone away. That shit ain't gone away, boo. Sorry. I don't care how many bars you did. If you ain't make right with those you transgressed against, your shit ain't resolved. I don't give a fuck. Bars is not escapism. It's not. It's not absolution. Like you granted absolution from a priest to the Catholic Church. Oh, I know you done did this dirt. You done murdered 3 motherfuckers, but at least, you know, you can do a couple of Hail Marys and shit, give a couple of coins to the church, and you absolve. That ain't it. That ain't it. That's not the medicine of the tradition I practice. That ain't it. Yes, there is absolution through accountability. You ain't gonna do wrong to somebody and then go behind closed doors in private to a priest, talk about this, what I did. I know it was fucked up, but I'm sorry. And the priest give you some bars and shit, and then you straight. And you ain't faced the person that you did dirt to. Honey, that ain't accountability. That's not. That's not. That's not. That's not. That ain't what I'm interested in. That ain't what Oya's interested in. That ain't what this period is about. We can recount a million different ways that we have been wronged by our enemy. But we would absolve the crimes that we have committed without facing our own shit, facing our own self, taking responsibility and saying, now I am emerged anew, my new self, my atoned self, ready to do battle with an enemy. Oh, child, what did I just read about Oya the other day? Ooh. Okay. It says that Oya asks that we remain calm in all things. The truth. This is the Lukumi understanding or perspective of the energy of Oya. The truth is the best weapon that is carried to win a battle cleanly. Because only then will Olafene's blessings be obtained, is to go into battle with truth, to fight cleanly, not to be trying to cover up our shit, present like we this, and in our hearts and in behind closed doors and our treatment of others, we ain't shit. That ain't Oya, baby. That ain't Oya. That is not Oya. You better clean up your shit. And that cleanup of your shit has to be made public. It has to be going to the feet of people you have wronged and saying, I was fucked up. And accept it. I was fucked up. I was dead ass wrong. That's some bullshit I did. I ain't got no excuse. There ain't no excuse for it because I knew it was wrong when I did it. This is how I want to rectify my behavior with you. I want someone to see. I want to be held accountable for my misdeeds. And then people can trust you with their lives in battle, whether that battle is political or social or economic or spiritual. Now people can trust you. People believe you. Not based on some shit you say out your silver ass, lion ass, split tongued ass self. Anyway, I'm done for now. I'm going to do another live. So, you know, you can, like right now, because there is a call that I want to make before this day is over. Today is February 20th, 2022, where our mother, Oya, Pluto, Hades, is at 27 degrees Capricorn, exact, the same place that she was 246 years ago, when these tyrants that we call the founding fathers drafted the Constitution and solidified America as a free and independent territory from the crown, from the British crown. All hail Oya Iyansa for her coming back to us to make right this bloody, foul past, giving birth to the most vile institution in human memory. You say. So, on this epic day that many will talk about for centuries to come, on this day, right? There's a call that I want to make. It is urgent and it is late, and I'm sorry, but it is an epiphany that came to me while I was teaching, not to me, by me, from a workshop that I was teaching yesterday, last day. And Brother Obasi Kamara said, George Washington's birthday is on the 22nd. Maybe we need to do something, you see. Then he told us about a story about how George Washington was so offended by one of his enslaved Africans who got free. She escaped, and he became obsessed with finding her, that he chased her and stalked her the rest of his life until the day he died, because he was so offended that she had the audacity to get free. So anyway, I'm going to say something about that in the next slide. I'm about to log off now. I'm going to log right back on to talk about the call that I'm making in honor of the return of our wonderful, wonderful mother, the queen of the night, the queen of the mothers, the queen of the Age, the mothers, the celestial, ancestral, heavenly, material mothers. She encompasses the spirit of all mothers, ancestral, celestial, and right here in the material world in real time. So this is Yapo Moyandingina, also known as Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Rogue Black Girl. I will be back in just a moment. Peace.